I would request Dr. Chitale to address the gathering.
All the lovers of culture and heritage. Let me right at the outset apologize that I will not be able to share the entire evening with you because of some other commitments already made. And just as I'm making a beginning, I'm glad to see that Sri Dilip Banji is with us. He was also with us when the Indian Council for Water and Culture organized a similar workshop for the flood systems in the Dhulia district. That time he was working in that district, and we had the privilege of his participation there also. Today we are going to focus on the topic of water. So one important thing I would like to mention in this connection, the way China looks at it. In the World Heritage list, some of you may not be aware that 2 years back, every year the countries are expected to send the nominations for inclusion in the World Heritage list. So 2 years back, the new item from China that was included in the World Heritage list was one of the irrigation projects like our flood systems in Dhulia district or Nashik district, which has survived almost for 2000 years. And that is intact. It is providing the same quality service, efficient service as our flood system canals are doing, or the canals from Kaveri are doing, from Kaveri Pakkam. They are also equally 2000 years old, or the canals from the Vijayanagaram, from Tungabhadra. If you go and see the richness that those canals have brought around the Tungabhadra river, more than 500 years they are in service. And in the peculiarity of the Vijayanagaram canals is they are in perennial service. It's all the perennial crops that are being grown there. So the point is that the heritage systems as related to water has now got a different dimension because of the China's initiative. And fortunately, now that we are talking about intact and the Indian heritage, we are all aware that we do possess a number of such situations which can qualify for entry into the World Heritage list. I mentioned just a few of them. Just now, one of our friends here was talking to me about the tank systems in Chandrapur district. He's here. And that is another classical example where through people's ownership of those tanks and people's management, those tanks have survived. Now there is a time to have a second look at them in the changed context, and also because of the damage that was done during the British regime by transferring the local village authority and taking away the people's ownership away from them to the intermediaries known as Malgujars then. In Vidarbha, Malgujars is a prestigious community, but the responsibility for management was transferred to them, and that damaged the centuries-old very strong social system. Now, fortunately, Shri Bhalge is also here, and his extracts from his books we are listening on the All India Radio's transmissions occasionally. So there are a number of such examples, and many of you must have read the classical book of Professor Murvanchikar that is initially written in Marathi on water and culture, and I hope that not far away from today, in few months, we will see the English translation also seeing the light of the day. It is really a classical book. But so much treasure is still hidden in India, and we need number of persons like you who are interested in art, in culture, in heritage, who can work on these large number of historical evidences that are available. I will not immediately call them heritage, because the word heritage is also linked with something along with our sense of pride, sense of belonging, and sense of visionary dimension for the future, it is attached to the World Heritage. Somehow because of neglect, all over India, there are a number of physical works that are worthy of heritage, but are not still in our own list of heritage. And it depends on our future efforts to look at them, to see what lessons to learn from them, to analyze with the help of historians what role they played in the past, and then try to see and project what role they can continue to play at many places in future also. And there are a number of such classical examples. This is not the occasion to go into all that. But because now we are sitting here as a larger INTAC group, and it is just incidental, I happened to be in Delhi when INTAC was born. It was in 1984 that I moved from Maharashtra to Delhi. And the first, so to say, the Executive Secretary of Delhi happened to be given from our ministry. The Additional Secretary of the ministry was loaned to INTAC to initiate INTAC, to organize INTAC. And that is why I happened to be associated with the initial dialogues and the initial vision on the basis of which INTAC was initiated in 84. Because water is taking shape, there is an Indian Council for Water and Culture. They are slowly mobilizing. I thought I would bring to your attention some other dimensions of our cultural heritage other than water, because on water, number of speakers are going to share their thoughts and information here today. But two other aspects of our heritage have been ignored so far, and we do not have any mechanism or any organizational linkage to bring those heritage aspects on board. One is the way of housing. I will just give you the example of Bihar. Why we must look at our heritage in the context of housing systems. Now, the floods in Bihar is not a new thing. Bihar has been under floods, and Kosi has been changing its course for hundreds of years. And still people have been living in Bihar, people have been living in Assam, they have been living in the north of West Bengal, and happily. We do not read many heartbreaking stories of so many devastations that did take place in the past also, but because the way houses were constructed, the way life was organized even on the flood plains, that they were safe. Now somehow with the concept of modernization, we did not look at the old heritage and started constructing all the houses in Bihar or in Samastipur or in Darbhanga on the same style as we do the houses in sort of dry areas like Hyderabad or Aurangabad. That's a mistake. And if we look at the history of housing in Bihar, there is much to learn from that history. This is just one example. Many such examples can be cited. How housing should be climate oriented, influenced by the local climate, local precipitation, local conditions. In a larger context, we call it environmentally friendly housing. Now that aspect is still not on board. I thought because there is a larger group of INTAC sitting here, I would request your attention to a new line of approach to our housing problem, which we are not very successful in putting our housing in some of these difficult areas, including earthquake-prone areas. We had our systems, how to live in an earthquake-prone area. We had our systems, how to live in a flood-prone area, and we must revert to that, have our studies, and open out that line of heritage so that the future generations can learn a lot from those historical evidences as well as the lessons that can be learned from them. The second thing was, in addition to housing, the way the townships used to be organized. Many of you who may have gone to Kathmandu, you must have had a look at the Bhaktapur there, and that is one of the excellent examples, the way the township was being arranged. there is much to learn from the old arrangements for the township. Not that we would need necessarily exactly copy them, because the modes of transport have changed. The patterns of commercial trade has changed. The industrialization has also its impact. But still there are many more things that can be learned from the way the Vijayanagaram was planned, the way Bhaktapur was planned. So town planning is another line of heritage which has still not received our adequate attention. So while we will be concentrating on the water related aspects today, I thought I should leave with you two more ideas. One regarding the housing, the history of our housing in the different climatic or environmental settings, and the way the townships were arranged, and these townships survived for centuries. Bhaktapur exists for almost more than 1,200 years, more than that, as Morvanchikar says now, more than 1,500 years. So there is much to learn from the way these townships were planned and managed, and they still exist. I hope with the spread of the INTAC, there are many more centers coming up, and I am glad to learn today. I was not aware that we have 140 chapters by now. I had been losing contact with INTAC occasionally. I am glad to see, and I am also glad to see the excellent book on Aurangabad and its surroundings. I wish it had more on the old housing and the townships also. So with this, I hope you will enjoy the presentations today, and you will excuse me for not being able to be with you throughout this evening. Thank you very much.